Welcome to another episode of Software Explorations, hosted by your truly tech coach Ralph, where we're engineering to win. Today's episode of Software Explorations, we are going to be breaking down the differences between React, Vue.js, and Angular. I have worked a little bit in React, and I've tested React, but I've tested Angular, but never actually implemented anything in Angular, and I don't believe I did any testing or implementation in Vue.js. So we're going to break it down today, and then we're going to look into the future on how we can actually get hands-on with Vue.js and with Angular to start actually building something to get a better understanding of it. So we can just be well-rounded in our endeavors. But before we go any further, do me a big favor. If you haven't done so already, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification so you know every time that we go live and drop new content, as well as go to techcoachralph.dev so you can connect with me and we can work together. We can level up. I can coach you one-on-one, as well as get access to exclusive content that you will not find anywhere else on YouTube. All right. With that being said, let's jump into our presentation where we're going to be breaking down React, Vue.js, and Angular web development frameworks. All right, let's get to it. All right. So like I said, our topic is React, Angular, and Vue.js. Which one should you choose to build your next web application? So our agenda for today, we're going to go through an introduction between what the web development frameworks are, what React is, what Vue is, Vue.js, and what Angular is. All right, we're going to do a framework overview. We're going to say what the key differences are between each frameworks. What decisions should you take? Like, what should you consider when you're making a decision on which framework to use? What are the pros and cons of each framework? We're going to look at some case studies, some real world examples, and some recommendations when getting started. And then we're going to wrap it up with our conclusion for the day. All right. So framework introduction, like I said, React, Vue.js, and Angular are the leading front-end frameworks. If you can think of any other framework that could be high up there, please drop me a comment so I can know, and then I can research that one as well. We're going to be breaking down React, Vue, and Angular. Why is choosing the right framework essential for project success? Well, the decisions that you make in the very beginning, the foundation, can lead to the success or the failure of your project. So if you're doing a project that requires a very powerful framework and you choose a weak one, then down the line, you're going to have to refactor and you're going to have to do a lot more work than if you were to have a good idea of where your application is going to go, who is it targeted to, and what's the right framework to choose for that. All right. So we're going to, as we go through this presentation, we should keep that in mind. So framework overview, real quick. We're going to go through each one of these, but we'll start off with React, developed by Facebook, released in 2013. Vue.js was created by Evan You, and it was initially released in 2014, and then Angular was developed by Google, first released in 2010, all right? And all of these frameworks are still in use. They're for different purposes, so we're going to break down each one of them one by one. Let's start off with React. So React is a component-based library focused on the UI layer. You've seen us use React on this channel before when we've been building our Urban Dictionary of Economic Data. The front end is based in React. The quotes application, poopypants.app, that is not based on React yet, but I have been migrating it to React. I've used React in the past. The time cost calculator website, that one has it's timecost.techcoachralph.dev. That one has has a little bit of React in it as well. So I've been using React on and off for a while, but I'm not the best in React. I'm definitely getting better though with the development that I've been doing lately. React uses JSX for templating within JavaScript. It emphasizes a virtual DOM, document object model, and declarative programming. Vue.js, also component-based, but designed to be more approachable and versatile. It uses a simple syntax for templating, which is HTML-based. It supports a virtual document object model, DOM, and offers reactivity out of the box. And then Angular is a complete model view controller, MVC, framework ideal for larger applications, for very, very powerful applications. It uses TypeScript, a typed superset of JavaScript. It features a two-way data binding, a real document object model, and comprehensive tooling. So what are the key differences between these frameworks, right? So there's going to be a learning curve. We're going to break down each one of these, but there's going to be a learning curve difference. There's going to be architecture and structure, performance, and there's going to be data binding, and there's going to be the community and the ecosystem for each framework, and all of these are going to help sway which one you're going to pick up. So what about the learning curve? So for React, it's a moderate learning curve. I can like from my HTML experience, my CSS experience, my JavaScript experience, I can definitely say that it's a moderate learning curve. You need to know like the basics of JavaScript, and then you got to start getting familiar with JSX with that typing language. How to navigate through there. Like especially for React, understanding the routes and the components, how to call in a component. When you refresh certain things, it can be a bit challenging, but from what I can see, it's definitely a moderate level. For Vue.js, so I haven't used Vue.js to say if this is true or not, but it's believed that it's the easiest one to learn, the easiest framework to learn due to its simple syntax and flexibility. We will definitely try it on the channel. It might be a good project actually. After we get our Urban Dictionary of Economic Data up and running for our Saturday morning shows, then we can actually start to implement the same application, the same front end, using Vue.js as well, maybe on a different branch, getting some Git branching experience on a different branch to see how that's going to work. And then Angular is a steep learning curve due to TypeScript and comprehensive structure. So TypeScript is pretty much an extension of JavaScript, but it's like, you can type it, say, okay, what's allowed, what's not allowed. So it can be a steep learning curve because of that. And then the structure of Angular. So we're definitely going to pick up on, do like some projects on Angular as well. Maybe we see, all right, let's take the dictionary app, and we're going to make it in Angular. We're going to make it in Vue to see how difficult it is to actually learn this. And this is the purpose of a software explorations. We get some more exposure, we get to do some more research, and we get to actually get hands-on, get down and dirty with our development skills. Architecture and structure. So React, the library often requires external libraries like React Structure or React Router, Redux for full-fledged applications. Vue.js is flexible. It can act as a library or a framework based on the needs. Angular is a fully-fledged framework with many built-in functionalities, routing, and state management. So for example, React, you might have to call in these libraries externally. It's already built into Angular. And then Vue.js is like, all right, pretty much is flexible. We can figure it out as you go along from what I'm reading here. What about the performance, right? So all three are fast, but each has unique handling of the document object model, the DOM. React and Vue.js use virtual DOM for efficient updating. Angular uses a real DOM, but optimizes rendering with change detection. Data binding. React is one-way data binding, leading to better control over data flow. Vue.js, it has two-way data binding, but can also support one-way. And then Angular, two-way data binding, ideal for form-heavy applications. So if you have a lot of forms on your application, then you might want to go with Angular to be able to handle that the right way. Community and ecosystem. So React has a massive community and extensive ecosystem. I remember I was at a company back in between 2016 and 2019, and we had to use, like, for what we were building, we needed to switch to React. So our offshore developers were already familiar with React. Our onshore developers were not, so they had to learn React in a couple of weeks. And there's a massive community that they were able to tap into and learn from and build in from the ecosystem of other components and frameworks and libraries that were using React as well and able to pull that in. Vue.js is much smaller, but the community is growing rapidly. And so keep in mind, based on the needs that you have, then you might want to use Vue.js if you're building a small application compared to React or Angular. And then Angular, established community with strong corporate support. A lot of big companies are using Angular, and there was a time that companies were shifting away from Angular to go to React, but it seems like it's starting to balance off, and companies might start to be going back to Angular or choosing Angular as their first choice, So it just depends. When should you use React, all right? So choose, like, decision. When should you use each of these, right? So you should use React when you're working on a large-scale application that needs customability, right? So for example, a Facebook-like social media platform. When the team has strong JavaScript skills and they can handle JSX. And for a project that requires fast updates and modular components. So that's when you should use React. What about Vue.js? So it's best for smaller to medium-sized applications or projects where simplicity is key. For example, lightweight dashboards, interactive websites. It's suitable for teams with limited JavaScript experience or prototyping and MVPs, minimum viable products. It's a good choice for products that may need scalability without a steep learning curve. So if you need to get something up and running really quickly, Vue.js might be your answer to help you get started on a very fast pace. And what about Angular? So Angular is best for enterprise level applications or apps that require high structure and comprehensive tooling. For example, complex business apps, real-time data apps. It's suitable for large development teams working on extensive applications. So when TypeScript is preferred or preferred for better type safety, then Angular is also a great choice for that. What are the pros and cons of each of these? So let's start off with React, right? The pros of React, it's flexible, it has a huge community, and it has reusable components. And you can create your own components and make them reusable as well. The cons are it requires additional libraries for full functionality. JSX can be a barrier getting familiar with that. And that's true, like, because the whole syntax of JSX can be a bit complicated. And we've seen that on our Thursday night live stream, so we'll always revisit that as well. But it can be a barrier to getting into React. What about Vue.js? So the pros of Vue is it's easy to learn, adaptable, great for small teams or solo projects, right? However, the cons are it has a smaller community, and the ecosystem is smaller as well. It lacks some corporate backing as well. So not many corporations are using Vue.js. It might be for small individual type projects or if you're working with a team, but it's not something that's like has a lot of power behind it. The pros and cons of Angular. So for Angular, it's a complete framework with many built-in features, robust tooling, and it's good for large applications. Lower, on the con side, there's a much steeper learning curve and can be overkill for smaller projects. So let's take a look at some case studies and some real world examples for React, Vue, and Angular. So some companies that use React: Facebook, Instagram, Airbnb. Some companies that use Vue.js: Alibaba, Exomi, 9gag, and for Angular, it would be Google, Microsoft Office 365, and Upwork, right? So let's talk about React. So for Airbnb, which is component-based architecture for consistent UI. So for Airbnb, which is so for Airbnb, component-based architecture for consistent UI. Airbnb used React component-based structure to create reusable UI components, ensuring a consistent look and feel across its platform while reducing development time and minimizing code duplication. Server-side rendering for faster load times. By implementing server-side rendering with React, Airbnb improved page load time and SEO, providing a smooth experience for users and better visibility on each search engine. React Native for mobile consistency. To unify their web and mobile application, Airbnb adopted React Native, which allowed them to share code between platforms and maintain consistency in features and design while saving the development resources. So these strategies helped Airbnb scale their product efficiently while enhancing the user experience across multiple devices. So that is how Airbnb is leveraging React. So how did Alibaba leverage Vue.js? All right. So the reason they went with Vue is that it's lightweight and high performance. Vue.js's lightweight footprint and efficient rendering made it ideal for Alibaba's performance needs. Vue's virtual DOM implementation ensures that users' interactions are responsive, which is critical for high-traffic e-commerce platforms. It's also flexible and easy to integrate, so Vue's flexibility architecture allowed Alibaba to integrate it gradually into their existing applications without needing a complete overhaul. Vue's modular design and compatibility with existing systems made it a smooth transition for Alibaba's team, right? And then improved developer productivity. Vue.js has an easy learning curve and clear documentation, enabling Alibaba's developers to quickly adapt and create interactive UIs. Vue's reactivity and two-way data binding also help streamline the process of updating content dynamically on their site, enhancing both developer efficiency and user experience. And lastly, Upwork. How did Upwork use Angular to help power its platform, right? So Upwork implemented Angular to power its complex, interactive, and data-intensive web application, focusing on maintainability, scalability, and real-time functionality. So here's how they did it, right? So Angular's complete model view controller MVC framework provided Upwork with its structure needed for a large-scale application, enabling consistent coding standards, better maintainability, and a streamlined development process suitable for a large engineering team. And in addition, Angular's two-way data binding allowed Upwork to manage dynamic interactions seamlessly. This feature is especially valuable for Upwork's live job listing, proposal submission, and real-time messaging, providing users with an interactive real-time experience, right? And then lastly, the modular and component-based architecture. Upwork leveraged Angular's component-based architecture to create reusable and modular UI components, making it easier to update and expand features across the platform. This modularity helped the team handle complex workflows and UI requirements, ensuring a consistent user experience across pages, right? So those are some examples of how different companies leverage different frameworks. So Upwork using Angular, Airbnb using React, and Alibaba using Vue.js. So what are some recommendations, right? So use React if customability and a strong ecosystem are important to you. Use Vue.js if you need something simple, easy to use, and are prototyping, you're just trying to get started, trying to see what's going on. That's an easy one to get started with. Use Angular if you're going to be building a large scale structured enterprise application. But my recommendation to you is that you try them all. You have to try all of them, because that is how you're going to actually build experience and get your hands dirty so you know how things work. So let's wrap it up with our conclusion. So we went through our introduction. We spoke about what the different frameworks are. We had a framework overview. We talked about the key differences, how to decide on which framework you should be using, what are the pros and cons of each framework. We looked at some case studies and some real world examples using some major companies. We went through some recommendations, especially my recommendation that you must try all of them to get familiar with them. And now if you have any feedback, if you have any questions, if you think that there are some additional frameworks that we should cover, it's a must to cover, then definitely leave me a comment, and I will make sure to either get it covered or answer your question so that we can move on with that. All right. So there you have it. That is our presentation on React, Vue.js, and Angular. Right. So those are the three major front end frameworks, all based on JavaScript. Because technically any front end application that you're going to be using, there's going to be some JavaScript involved, regardless of the language you're building it, right? Whether you're using Python, whether you're using C#, there's going to have to be some type of JavaScript component in order to power it in the browser. So that's that. All right. So let me know your thoughts. Did you find this useful and helpful? But we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Do me a big favor on your way out. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications so you know every time we go live and drop new content, as well as go to techcoachdraft.dev, where you can sign up for one-on-one coaching, sign up for exclusive content, how to update your resume, how to prepare for interviews, how to like the sprint reviews that the tech barbarians do. You get access to watching those, as well as how to use different sources to prepare for interviews and to research jobs, all that good stuff. All right. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Tech Coach Ralph with another episode of Software Explorations. We are out.
Scrolling through my phone, I can't find a spark. Each day feels like a bug in a broken arc. But my lines of code know me better than they do. In love with these scripts, they hold me true. Conversations fizzle, hearts feel like a chore. Bad dates come and go, but the code's always there. Lines of love in the night, pulling me from despair. These fleeting connections can't break through the strain. I'm lost in these programs, I'm coding my pain. Hopes, but the vibe feels so wrong. Wondering if I can fix what's taking too long. But while dinner gets cold, my thoughts start to race. I'd rather be debugging in my own safe space. Is it me or the code that keeps me awake? Bad dates come and go, but the code's always there. Lines of love in the night, pulling me from despair. These fleeting connections can't break through the strain. I'm lost in these programs, I'm coding my pain. But the vibe feels so wrong. Wondering if I can fix what's taking too long. But while dinner gets cold, my thoughts start to race. I'd rather be debugging in my own safe space. Is it me or the code that keeps me awake? Awake. Bad dates come and go, but the code code's always there, lines of love in the night pulling me from despair. These fleeting connections can't break through the strain. I'm lost in these programs, I'm